Really?
Hey, and welcome to Armchair Quarterback. Hard to believe that we are heading into week 8.
Hey, we're all blue today.
Unbelievable. We're all dressed in navy blue tonight, maybe a uniform or
That was green and gray.
whatever. All day at work?
Now, you just ever put on a pair of pants just a little too tight, and they're on you all day, and you're like,
You
Well, I
leave
should
those
just go down
little
the
red marks on
yeah,
them.
I'm just,
Where the
I
belt
gotta
is.
take these things off, put on some slacks.
We should say that Brian Kelly back in the huddle tonight after a month's absence, I guess. You're on the opening show,
Right.
in the preseason show, and
My quarterly appearance.
yes, the quarterly report. We'll get a quarterly report.
Could we get
and,
more frequently as the season
I think so. Is
evolves?
Rich Brockway out supporting or opposition or against question 2? He's a water mogul
magnate, yeah.
executive.
He's an
For
executive.
Poland Springs Nestle Water Group.
It's unbelievable.
So he's telling people in Framingham what to do.
To think that I had,
Question 2.
this much to do with that is just gives me a warm, fuzzy feeling.
You're starting to get the Movember going
Yeah,
there?
yeah,
Like your playoff beard?
My Rich
started
Brockway look. Like we came in last week, I looked at him and he looked at me and I'm like, you're still trying to look like me, aren't you? But no. I went down to New Orleans and I got stuck there without a razor. And I realized after a week how much I didn't like shaving, so I'm like, I'm not going to shave for a little while. I'll shave a little.
You missed some interesting Pete Smurless adventures in the French Quarter.
Oh, yeah?
All over
That he
New
does
Orleans,
not
yeah.
want to relive.
I got stuck down.
He'll tell you
a
after
couple
the
days.
show.
Yeah, I got a
It'll
couple
be-
days. A couple days longer that I wanted to stay there.
Did you get to a game, Superdome?
No, it was a bye week. I went down to some
Bye week in the
blues
Bayou.
festival and got stuck there because of the hurricane coming through.
Yeah.
Closed the airport.
Boy.
So a day in a hotel,
Worst places to be stuck
day in an
New
airport.
Orleans.
Yeah, I was scared.
one of those places
I
you
was
wanna get
sleeping
out
with
of.
an iron, like waiting with the chair up against the door, like, come in and
I
try
guess
to
in
roll.
that aspect, yeah, that's true.
I didn't, I didn't know I knew people, but everyone had left. We were
Right.
staying with a friend of a friend.
Yeah.
So I was like, I can get a car. I don't know where I'm going.
No,
I could ask them to come pick me up and take me to the airport. People I just met, they were probably glad that we left.
You don't want to leave that area.
No, I was in the airport. I had a
Stay in
fire.
the main drag. Or
I was in the
don't-
airport the
yeah.
next day at 5 o'clock, and they canceled that flight. So 10 hours later to Miami, 10 hours to Boston, and here I am, sick as a dog. Started out great.
You're feeling better, though.
I feel great.
You should have got stuck in Miami. That would have
Yeah,
been
much
the
better
spot.
place to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I almost did, although I was getting nervous. That was a big airport.
Yeah.
It is a big
It's like a
airport
whole
there.
nother
It's huge.
world from
Yeah.
New Orleans.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man. So I was in Miami, and I don't know, just the flavor in the 6 or 7 hours I had to wait there. I sat down. I did the only thing I thought that just jumped out at me. I had to call Joey Q. Because he's down in Florida now.
He's a Tampa guy, right?
He's in Tampa, yeah. But so I called him and had some therapy with Joey Q.
That's good. It's always good. Patriots Jets. It seems like a month ago that they played this
Jeez,
game.
it
But
does,
the Patriots,
it does.
they
Interesting
eked
game.
out a
Quasi
victory.
bye week, right?
Yeah, I mean they're off. There's no football on Sunday. They get all that extra day off. But the Patriots, they pulled this one out 27-25 in a game that they had their chances to probably put them away, and they just didn't.
Did you take the Pats? Did one of you guys take the Pats? It was like a 9-point spread.
Yeah, I don't know. I forget. Did I take them last week? Did not. None of us did. Yeah, I took the Seattle Seahawks. We'll talk about them a little bit later in the show.
Kind of taking a few steps
quite a
back.
game.
But anyway, the Patriots hang on in this one. Let's go to the highlights from last Thursday. And is it sexy Rexy? They just the division. There's no easy games between these two teams.
They
Generally,
get up for 'em.
other than the Thanksgiving Day game a couple of years ago. But the Patriots get off to a good start. I mean, they start the whole thing. They go for Vereen blown
Beautiful.
coverage wide open on this one. Patriots
Nearly
grab-
overthrew him, too.
Yeah,
Great
yeah.
catch.
Yeah.
You don't see running backs make catches
No, that
on
was
the
a
field
great-
like that
really
too often.
Great run.
But in this one, I just go, here we go, Patriots. Let's get that blowout going. I can focus
Right,
on
started
those
out.
Canadians. It started off great. And
Why not throw to Vereen again?
Amendola.
Amendola sighting.
Oh, that was
that was Vereen, but
Yeah. In the
Amendola gets the
game.
touchdown.
Yeah, that
Similar
was
play.
nice to see him get in the mix.
I liked him on kickoffs.
Yeah, he was
gave
right-
them
he
a
was
little
making
bit of a
some-
spark and probably helped him get into the flow of the game a little bit,
Yeah.
at receiver too.
For sure. Jeez, the guy he's not a bad receiver if he could stay healthy, but he just hasn't got involved.
And then a nice little Academy Award there by Tom Brady gets the personal foul.
Unfortunately, the Patriot player got the penalty, right? For the reaction.
For the reaction hit. But the Patriots, they just
They
really
should have
did
called
not
the
put
foul
this
on the guy
away.
that knocked
Yeah.
Brady down. But anyway. Jets, they looked okay. Geno looked pretty good. Decker looked all right.
Concerning that they ran the ball this well in this game. I mean, obviously they.
Chris Ivory leads the league in yards after contact too.
Yeah,
so
he runs
he's
hard.
a tough running back.
He runs hard. Chris Johnson kind of nowhere to be found in this team right now.
He's lost his starting role.
I think
for sure.
so. Yeah, yeah.
And the Jets saying even Geno Smith, you expected 4 and 5 interceptions, and
No,
it
he
just wasn't.
played under control. Played, I think time of possession. They played a winning game.
On possession, they killed the Patriots.
Yeah,
It was
they
41 and 19.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, that's really the only way to win.
And I mean, if it wasn't for the blocked punt field goal,
Field goal at the
they
end.
might have lost this
They would-
game.
yeah.
It was a nice play to block it.
Yeah, they were definitely in position to lose the game.
And the guy
I
had-
couldn't believe they let Geno Smith march down the
I
field
know.
to get him in a field
Yeah.
goal position
Yeah,
in the
a little,
first place.
little concerning.
Right.
The Amendola there with his first
He was
touchdown,
he was
maybe.
rolling out of the pocket with no problem and
Yeah.
picking up first downs and getting yardage when there was
They
nothing
definitely
downfield.
had they definitely had a good game plan.
Yeah.
The
they
D
have-
couldn't shut him down when they had to. They couldn't put him away.
which is pretty concerning. But like you said, it's also the Jets Super Bowl every year playing
Right.
the Pats.
Yeah.
Coming into
They
Foxborough.
scheme as they probably this is probably the hottest work week of the year when the two
Yeah.
Patriots.
Well, even like I don't know if you saw these quotes from Brady today, where he was saying, we got to put people away, because they didn't put them away here.
Correct.
You got to run it up almost because people can come back.
Absolutely, and the schedule gets a little bit tougher.
Sure
Although
does.
The Bears
Sure
are a
does.
team in turmoil. We'll talk about the Bears.
Terrible call on the
issues in a
two-point
little
We just saw
conversion.
Patrick Chung getting toasted too in the end zone there. I mean,
bit. Got lucky.
big concern for me on the touchdown. I mean, is that guy back there playing safety, starting for you?
Yeah, and then Revis he's not quite there. I think as the superstar who's supposed to be the shutdown.
They sent
guy.
him home yesterday.
Yeah.
Missing practice, late for practice.
Late for practice, so message
Slap his
sent.
wrist. Slap his wrist.
Message received. And then the Jets still hanging in this one. They get the first down, 14 seconds left in the game, in a position to win it with a field goal.
And this guy had been on fire too. I mean, he was I think did he have a 50-yarder earlier? But nice block, big block. And they're complaining the ref made him move.
Right.
And
Oh,
da, da, da,
he
da.
wasn't
He
Take
wasn't
some
supposed
sour
to get-
grapes and get out
He
of
wasn't.
here.
Yeah, shouldn't line up over the center. Whatever. There's always
Nice
something.
little story that it was Chris Jones who blocked the field goal to win the game. He's the guy that got called for the penalty last year
Yeah,
against
yeah,
the
yeah.
Jets that let the Jets
Yeah.
win on the field goal.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And was that a Thursday night or Monday night? No, I can't remember. But I
It might have been,
remember
yeah.
the play for
Yeah.
sure.
Interesting acquisition by the Jets midweek.
Percy Harvin.
I was a little surprised.
And then more and more about Percy Harvin.
Maybe a little
coming-
anger management problem.
He's got some problems. Apparently punched out Golden Tate during the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Right.
Got
last
into it
year.
with a couple guys.
And there was definitely
few
some
other issues,
distractions
yeah.
with him there. But a guy who is that talented, who is a kind of a game breaker for
Yeah,
that
yeah.
Seattle offense.
Just let him go.
I mean, he must have been a huge issue.
Locker
He
room
hasn't
distraction.
done much though, other than that
Yeah, the numbers
Super
have
Bowl
dropped.
performance
I mean,
last year.
yeah.
I mean, he was really good in Minnesota when he was healthy,
Yeah.
which he was always getting hurt, and then
Sounds like a bad guy in the locker room.
he hadn't done much. And if you saw
The
Russell
Mark-
Wilson's performance this week,
Yeah.
granted they lost because they got killed on special teams, but Wilson was spreading the ball out a lot more, and what a lot of the announcers or experts were saying was that he didn't feel like he had to force the ball to Percy Harvin anymore. He was spreading it out.
There's
So
there's
it
something they're
affects
not
him,
saying.
and he's a cool customer.
Yeah, there's something they're not saying. But I like
No,
Pete the
it's a-
Poodle. Pete the Poodle was just like, you know what, hey, the guy's good, but see ya. Because there had to be, more to it than we're told. He had to wear out his welcome, and he kind of finally. I
Yeah,
think-
They gave up a lot for him with Minnesota too, didn't they?
Yeah,
didn't
they
give up like a
And-
2 and a
and
3 or
as far
something
as
like that? 2 and
him
4?
going to the Jets, the Jets gave up absolutely nothing.
right.
for him.
They gave him away.
Pretty
I
much.
mean, he helped him win a Super Bowl. They saved money because they probably weren't going to sign him, but
Yeah. He got 3 touchdowns in that Washington Monday night
All
game.
called back.
All called back.
Right.
It'd be a fun fantasy bummer if you had
and
him
then
that night.
Marshawn Lynch's Twitter was a little inappropriate. Did you catch that?
I don't know if I caught the Marshawn
Yeah,
Lynch.
probably can't say it on public television, but one of those words that.
Not pleased with the trade or pleased with the trade?
No, it was just a little inappropriate.
Okay.
They got rid of my
My
something.
my homeboy.
Yeah, not a word
Yeah.
we can say on TV.
Does it start with a B?
No. But anyway, yeah. So that was like, come on, man. It's like I'm like, are they going to suspend him for that? Because
I guess you can have an opinion, but I don't know. Not in the Patriots world.
no. So Pete the Poodle shipped him out, but the team is not. They don't seem to be
They're
clicking
back,
on all
no,
cylinders.
They're back into that road trip, totally different team type thing. They lose to Dallas a couple weeks at home, which I'm still shocked about.
Right, and they're not really loaded at receiver either. I mean, they got Kurst, they got Baldwin, and a guy Richardson, a rookie, but they're pretty thin after that. So obviously, this guy had to really cross the line.
Yeah, and as far as Lynch, is he getting too many carries? Because Seattle has a thing with, remember Alexander was there. They have a thing about burning out their running backs.
Nah, I don't know.
He's actually not getting enough this year, but I think they're trying to keep his carries down because he's had so many.
See,
the last
when
3 or
in
4
doubt,
years.
Russell Wilson will run the ball.
Right.
Russell Wilson, man, he's just
Been a beast.
taking it to another level.
Another part of the reason that they moved Harvin was
He is
because
the
they
beast.
have to. He is the beast. Beast mode.
Beast mode.
Is because they have to sign Wilson next in the offseason. You know,
He's
his
legit.
rookie deal is up.
Yeah, so they got to go to the
They're
bank
gonna-
on this one.
Yeah,
for
a
sure.
lot of big
gonna
money.
cost them.
With the Chandler Jones injury now, probably going to miss a month. They're saying that's the latest.
was
so
playing well too.
He was. I mean, they're playing against Minnesota. That strip and that fumble recovery he made. I think like a week later. Hip injury. The Patriots never really say anything about their injuries. Should miss a month. Maybe back first week of December for a playoff run. They go out and they pick up Akeem Ayers and Adam Branch. Alan Branch from Buffalo. I guess he had a DUI. Was kind of.
He was on Seattle actually last year. The
Last
Super
year.
Bowl team, yeah.
So they're kind of plugging in some new
Next.
pots there. So
Bring him in.
Well,
Plug
so
in.
Ayers is a linebacker who was a second-round pick a couple years ago, and they're bringing him in to hopefully compete for the Gerard Mayo spot, and then
A couple big injuries. Yeah, Mayo's big.
Branch is a big defensive tackle. So I don't know what they're thinking, if they're going to change the scheme or they're going to move somebody else outside or what the deal is, but a couple bodies. You know.
Yeah.
got to do something.
Mayo's a big loss though.
It's a
Tough.
huge loss, yeah.
So
And some other games around the league, kind of some surprises. The Baltimore Ravens keep moving along. They crush Atlanta. Atlanta.
Two teams going in opposite
Yeah,
directions.
Atlanta's lost. They're 2-5 now, and they're completely falling out of the.
Seem to be.
You know
race.
why, right? Their offensive line.
Terrible.
They lost 3 of their 5
Starters.
starters for the season
Yeah.
on the line. So
and-
we were complaining about our offensive line. I mean,
It's worse.
I was watching some of their game the other day, and literally the second the ball is snapped, it's like turnstiles. Matt Ryan has no time to throw at all.
Yeah, and the receivers have been nicked up a little bit. I mean, Roddy White, I don't think ever plays at 100%. Julio Jones has been nicked up there.
Yeah.
The running back,
It's
spin
pretty
the
much
wheel.
neutralized Julio Jones, who's one of the best receivers in the league, because he just doesn't have enough time to drop back and let him get downfield.
Right.
Yeah,
You know?
they have to come up with some new scheme to save their season, if that's even possible. Buffalo Bills pull out a game this week, but again, a super costly win for them. They lose both running backs, Fred Jackson and Spiller with a broken collarbone.
Yeah.
Devastating injuries. for
Spiller,
them.
who was getting no run,
right.
and he comes in and he breaks like a 50-yard.
That was it.
And that's it, and they break his collarbone on the
yeah.
same play.
So now, who is it? Dixon or Bryce Brown? Who's taking over?
I don't know. You look at those
Committee?
fantasy waiver wires and you see in the
Two
names
different
both-
styles.
You would think that it would be Bryce Brown, but just because everyone thinks that, it'll probably be Dixon.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
Just when you
But
think,
Bryce
that's
Brown
it.
was phenomenal with
Right.
the Eagles a
He
couple
had
years
some-
ago
yeah.
when
That
McCoy
was-
was hurt.
He had a nice run there.
Yeah, he did.
I think he
He
had like
fumbled a lot though. That was his
that was
problem.
but he
Remember
did.
on Monday Night
I
Football,
remember
they pulled
watching
him.
him. I think he was a waiver wire prankster, and he really filled in well.
Yeah.
He had a couple
Yeah.
of big games.
You can get lucky sometimes on these guys who just.
Yeah.
But I remember that the fumble was a big issue
Yeah.
for him. The Chicago Bears. The Patriots play the Chicago Bears this week. A team that cannot win at home for whatever reason.
Does that make you nervous though? That they can't win at home, but they come in here?
And then
The
Marshall.
big issue in the locker room after the game too.
Yeah, and
Brandon
then
Marshall.
Brandon Marshall's some.
Oh,
he's-
he has a little knucklehead in him still.
He always has something to say about something.
Yeah.
Whether it was against his old team, he wanted put on a
The
good
most
show.
interesting part about that, though, was he was basically calling out Cutler, right?
Right.
Seemed like
Cutler's his boy. I mean, they played together in Denver, and they're now in Chicago.
and he's calling for him. He just
And
goes.
part of the reason Marshall went to Chicago was to
with-
reteam
yeah.
with Cutler because he throws to him
I don't
all
think
the time,
Marshall
no matter
really
what.
cares about what he's saying sometimes.
He's talking out of both sides of his mouth. It seems like where he
Yeah.
just goes, he goes, we're like brothers. He goes, but the guy's kind of stunk up the joint this week. But Cutler he relies on. A lot of people comparing him to like the Jeff George of the league. Powerful arm, can do a lot of things, but basically he's throwing it up for receivers that are 6'5".
Yeah,
and
he's got some
6'4".
great receivers.
Does anybody have better skill players than Chicago? I mean, they have
Amazing.
Marshall and Jeffrey on the outside,
Right.
and they have Forte as their running back.
Right.
You got to say that all 3 of those guys are top 10, 15 at
Absolutely.
their position.
Yeah, for sure.
And they're 3 and 4.
Yeah,
You know?
disappointing. All their wins on the road, all their losses at home.
It's making me a little nervous.
A little nervous.
They can come back. They can come out here and play give the Patriots all they can handle.
This game to me for the Patriots is a must-win. I mean, if you're looking at the 6-game stretch that they have coming up, look at just the quarterbacks that they're playing alone. And I think that Chicago is the only team with a losing record. But I mean, they have Cutler, Peyton Manning, Rivers,
Stafford with the Lions coming in doesn't scare me as
Rodgers.
much. But yeah, I agree because Peyton Manning coming to town. Peyton Manning setting the all-time record this week in a game that I thought was going to be more competitive than that. Throws for his 509th all-time passes Favre. This was going to happen sooner or later.
And Favre was out popping off. Oh, I think Manning's better than Brady. Favre, really.
Has anyone looked older like since he retired? I mean, we're getting a little gray, but he is like completely the old man of the mountain.
Yeah.
He just looks in those Wrangler jeans commercials.
He's also like what, 43?
He was around a long. He had a long career,
so
right?
It seems
you
like
kind of forget about that.
I forgot.
Right?
Yeah,
No, he just retired like 2 years ago.
It was the Who did he go after the Packers? He went to the Vikings.
Minnesota. Oh no, he went to the Jets.
He went to the Jets for a
Jets,
minute, right?
Yeah.
And then the Vikings. Was there another team?
No.
There was a rumor that he was coming back one more time.
Yeah.
He wants to be the first quarterback over 50 to play, whatever.
Do that 1 day contract with the.
He had a great year his first year with Minnesota too.
He did.
He had some unbelievable comeback.
Yeah, and
games.
then that championship game against New Orleans.
Yeah, no, he was a great
You
player.
run for the first down, or even if you throw the field goal, you win the game.
It was just towards the end, it was like how many times are you going to unretire?
He did it like 5
Yeah,
times.
go.
And he really
He did it like what, 2 or 3 years with Green Bay before
Just
he
couldn't
left there.
give it up.
And then the Jets.
And he held up Aaron Rodgers'
Is it
career.
the- yeah.
He could have won 2 titles. Maybe.
Is it the money? Is it the fame? Is it the?
He's one of those. It's all about him. It just seems.
He just
that
couldn't
way.
walk away from the spotlight, and he still think he had a little something left in the tank.
Reminds me of Clemens a lot.
A little bit
Yeah.
Clemens was
without the
just-
injections.
he was a cocky guy.
But anyway, some other games this week. The Cincinnati Bengals are just a team reeling this week. Do not show up at all at Indy. They get shut out, blanked. I mean, granted, injuries, but it just.
It's just an erratic team. Just when everybody's
Andy
got
Dalton put fear into you as a quarterback?
No, but you know what? It's
There's a
happened.
gag
It
factor
seems like
with
it's
him.
happened the last couple of years. You start thinking Cincy's for real, and then they just implode.
Patriots pretty much exposed them, right? They've been awful ever since that game.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
They got shut out, right, against Baltimore?
Against Baltimore, 27-zip.
Well, they lose the Green, the receiver. That's a big loss because he's a top 5 receiver there, and a great running back duo.
Yeah.
But Dalton, I don't know. I'm not sure he's going to get him to the
Gave him
promised
big
land.
money too.
Yeah, he doesn't find ways to win.
No.
So anyway, they're
But Baltimore looks much better than I was expecting them to be.
A couple of good games in a row, really.
Yeah.
Steve Smith, I mean,
Steve
Steve youth.
Yeah, Steve Smith has that kind of chip on his shoulder that maybe fits in perfectly
Still.
with that team.
Yeah.
And you have to wonder, like, hey, did he get complacent his last couple of years in Carolina? He just was there forever, and I don't know. But he goes to Baltimore, and he's just been tearing it up. And if you remember, the Pats were trying to bring him in the offseason.
They were looking.
He went for a visit with Baltimore, and they wouldn't let him leave.
Yeah, they said you got to stay here.
Yeah.
And he has that chip on his shoulder. He always did with Carolina, where he remember the game last year. Maybe the year 2, like it was against Carolina, where Kuelke.
Yeah, right.
Kuelke, whatever, the guy from BC.
Yeah,
Luke Kuechly.
Yeah. That was the one where there was almost a fist fight with Steve Smith and from Talib. They would just literally almost throwing haymakers.
Right. Yeah,
so he's a
trash
feisty
talker.
He's a feisty player, probably perfect for Baltimore.
Yeah.
He was doing a lot of trash talk when they played Carolina a couple weeks ago.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Against his old team.
Yeah.
Piece of work.
And speaking of Carolina, they get thumped up in Green Bay this week. Green Bay, a miracle win to get out of Miami a week ago, and then Green Bay on all cylinders this week.
Starting to get into gear, and I don't know. I got them losing to the Super Bowl, but getting to the Super Bowl after Packers. I was like, after the first couple weeks, I was like, what was I thinking about?
Well, I was just gonna say, so we're just about halfway through.
Just about,
I mean,
yeah.
who do you guys like as the
after the
favorites
first
at
week,
this
we were
point?
like, Seattle's, no one's going to beat Seattle.
no,
And now
right?
Seattle's
They're 3-3.
kind of like,
The
really?
Dallas Cowboys at 6-1.
The best team in football, the Cowboys.
I-
They were
I-
a joke at the start of the year.
They go out and beat Seattle, but I'm not buying.
Still not bad.
I mean, I think Denver's hands down the best team, but I still don't have faith that Manning's going to come through in the playoffs.
Or is that
when they get
is
there.
that D going to disappear like it did last year? I
too.
mean,
Yeah.
are they that much better defensively?
I don't know. I see. The Colts is one of the toughest teams. Patriots play I think Denver Colts back to
They've
back
really
with a
opened
bye
up,
in the middle.
They've really opened up the playbook with Andrew Luck this year.
They have.
And this is kind of his coming out.
And I think
For
their
sure.
defense has made some strides. I think also.
Yeah.
They've improved
Yeah.
a little bit
No,
with
they're-
And Ahmad Bradshaw, of all people, has been playing well for them.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. You thought he was done. But
Yeah,
he's,
totally.
Well,
he runs hard.
didn't
Always
he
ran
had that
hard.
neck fusion surgery like with the Giants or the end of his career with the Giants
Right,
anyway,
right.
right? So kind of a high risk.
How long do you think Trent Richardson has left in the league? Another year?
Boy,
Can't see
What was he, the third overall pick? Second, third
Yeah, I mean,
overall
I
pick?
kept
and
thinking he was-
Cleveland traded up to get him. And another
And
thing,
then Indy traded a first-round pick for him.
Yeah.
And he can't even start.
no.
There must be something that they aren't saying about him because he's kind of laying an egg
I don't know.
both
He's-
places.
And he was what, an Alabama guy, right?
Yeah, a lot of hype. First running back pick, I think.
A lot of hype, I guess.
Yeah.
San Diego goes home. Another team that's kind of a surprise team, I think, this year. Rich's favorite quarterback, Phillip Rivers.
You picked him last week. He must have been. Did they not cover? I don't think they did.
They lost outright
they
to
lost,
Kansas City.
yeah.
Were they favored? Yeah, I don't-
Favored
yeah,
at
yeah,
home,
yeah.
yeah.
So I'm sure Rich was.
Huge matchup in the AFC West on Thursday night. We say a good game. We finally got a good one this past week, but most of them have been blowouts.
Yeah.
Arizona going to Denver this week on a Thursday night.
It's Arizona.
No, I'm sorry, San Diego.
Yeah.
San Diego has kind of had Denver's number. They beat them late in the season in Denver,
Yeah.
and then played them pretty tough in the playoffs.
It's at Denver, though, right?
It's at Denver.
I'm not
That's
sure they
not
can
gonna be a
hang in
game.
Denver.
No
I'm not
way.
sure.
No.
I'm not sure. Like the Cowboys, I'm not really buying
I
San
mean,
Diego.
look at even last week. You thought it was going to be a great matchup, Denver-San Fran. They blew San Fran right off the field.
Yeah, that was surprising.
Yeah, San Fran.
But
is-
Kaepernick has those phases where he just, if he
Wasn't
gets
really him in that game. The defense could not stop Denver.
yeah, nothing.
They got a great O, even without Eric Decker. Where's Eric Decker? New York Jets.
New York Jets.
Been struggling with the hammy all year. Still like the guy.
Well, I think he went there for his wife or girlfriend's career for New York City. I think that was part of the deal.
Yeah, does he still have this show on TV? The Eric Decker show? He has some comment. Somebody told. I haven't ever seen it.
One
But
of those late.
I just like.
You'd
VH1
think
shows?
he would have signed with like the Titans, right? So she's in Nashville.
Is
She's a
she's
country singer.
Oh, she's okay.
Yeah.
I always liked.
Works
I
for
mean, I
hockey.
first kind of liked the guy because he wore 87 in honor of Ed McCaffrey, who was always a favorite.
Right. Yeah.
And he's a good receiver, but I don't know. He doesn't have Peyton Manning throwing it to him anymore.
That's true.
That's a big
He
difference.
looked good on the
Big
Pats.
difference.
Yeah, I would have loved to see him be on the Pats.
What about Vincent Jackson? He's on the block. V-Jax.
Bring him in.
Yeah. Well,
The
Tampa Bay
pipeline
team.
from Tampa up to the Pats
Yeah, why
we've
not?
had going here.
Talib,
Revis.
Yeah. Tim
Blunt.
Rice.
Tim Wright. Where was he
Tim Wright,
last
tight
week?
end.
Tim Wright disappeared last week.
I know it's
Jeez, hard to figure.
flavor of the month, flavor of the week. So anyway, very quick half hour. I'd have to say this week flew by.
Time flies when you're having
Yeah.
fun.
Rich Brockway, who is, as I said earlier in the show, not here because he's promoting or he's either for or against question 2, which is the water bill. No, the
Do we know if we don't know?
$5
We'll have him enlighten us next
yeah.
week.
He'll tell us
Tell him to bring a couple of bottles with him.
and he can say this
To
will be 5
demonstrate.
cents now. So anyway, Rich Brockway, he is doing the monkey rule. He's doing this. He's staying with a lot of these same teams. Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, he's got a Cleveland thing.
He's got a
this year.
Cleveland Browns thing and an Arizona thing. He's going with the Cleveland Browns this week. Cleveland is a 7-point favorite on the road. At home. When's the last time you saw Cleveland? Is that the biggest spread that they've been a favorite in a while?
Right.
Oakland's maybe arguably the worst team in football. Give away the 7, Cleveland. He likes that. He likes Arizona this week. Arizona is home against Philly. Philly coming off a bye week, 2.5-point spread there. Carson Palmer.
Carson Palmer looked pretty good last week.
Seems to
5-1,
good.
Arizona.
Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah.
I mean, again, if you think about it,
Team that a lot of people aren't talking about.
10-6. 10-6 last year, did not
Right.
make the playoffs, but
Might be 11-5 this year to get in.
yeah, boy, that'd be
They're on their
tough.
way.
And he likes the Indianapolis Colts going to Pittsburgh this week. We didn't talk about that Steeler game, but they looked like they were getting their doors blown off early in that
Right,
one.
and then-
a 24-second blitz in
Right.
about 2.5 minutes.
What happened to Houston?
Just total
Yeah.
brain
Pittsburgh,
hemorrhage.
your favorite team.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Hard to figure. All right. BK, the guest on the show tonight.
Yeah.
Your best three.
A lot of tough games this week. There's good teams playing against each other, and there's some really bad teams playing against each other. I will go with Seattle giving away the 4.5 to Carolina. Carolina's just looked pretty bad the last few weeks. I will go with, Indy giving away the 3 to Pittsburgh. And I will go with St. Louis.
St. Louis, yeah, interesting, big win for him last week.
6.5 point
St.
underdog
Louis, yeah.
in Kansas City.
Really? I
Yeah,
mean, St. Louis surprised me last
Kansas
week.
City, a streaky team, very inconsistent.
I hear you. Well, I am going to go with Peyton to keep rolling Thursday night. I don't see San Diego staying that close, but you never know. The D's been pretty good, but
I like that pick.
Denver at home.
yeah, Denver
just
at home.
The best team maybe in football. I'm going to keep riding those Green Bay Packers. I think New Orleans is in a little bit of trouble, and I think Green Bay is kind of hitting its stride. So, and then I thought I had 2 other teams picked, but I don't. So I do have a Patriots shirt on. So they make me nervous.
Patriots and Bears, yeah.
But I'm going to take the Pats. I'm going to pick the Pats. There was another team that was in. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not.
No.
I like the Colts. I do like
the
the
Colts.
Colts.
You go ahead.
I like the Colts. So I'm going to lay off the Pats. I do like the Colts better than the Pats. So
Yeah, I'm going to make it a all 4-1. I'm going to go with the Colts as well. Pittsburgh, they can look good. They look good in that little blitz, but I think that was more Houston just kind of giving it to them. But Houston, if they played a smart game, they could have won that game still.
they just
fell asleep in the second quarter.
Pittsburgh
and
looks
it
awful
cost-
at times.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh looks like they could be as bad as like the Raiders.
They do.
It's just brutal. Some of their mind, I think the coach could be in trouble. Tomlin, I think, could be in trouble there.
Yeah.
In Pittsburgh, they
It-
never
they hang on coaches forever. But I'm going to go with Indy this week to cover the game on the road. Pete, I'm going to go against you. Your New Orleans story was so funny, and New Orleans has to have this game at home.
Yeah.
Should be a shootout. I don't
What's
know
wrong with them this year?
New Orleans defense is just terrible.
But their offense hasn't been that great.
No, and they've lost some key parts.
Yeah. Well, that should be a good game.
Jimmy
Graham's
Graham's
hurt.
Jimmy
Should
Graham's
be a
still not
shootout.
playing, so I'm going to roll the dice with New Orleans this week, trying to make up some ground. And I like that Arizona pick as well.
They're playing good.
That's a dangerous one.
It is a dangerous one. Philadelphia is going in there, but I don't know.
Nobody's taking the Pats.
No,
Nobody.
little too.
Just a little scared with that 6. It's a big spread.
Yeah, but I like Arizona at home to win by a field goal. I think. I don't know. Not totally sold on Philadelphia as well.
Yeah, they're a funny team.
I like Arizona's defense.
I don't think they're as good as their record seems to indicate.
Yeah.
They've won some kind of games where I think they got a little lucky.
Right. Just off the record, I mean, Patriots and Bears this week. I mean, with 6.5 points.
I think it's going to be another Jets game. I think it's going to be a field goal or less. I mean, I kind of like them because I just happen to throw on a Patriot shirt. I'm like, maybe I should. That's an omen. I should wear it. But then I'm like, just when you think the Pats are going to roll, the Bears, they're better on the road than they are at home. They come in here. They got the talent. The Pats got a couple injuries.
I think the Pats win by double digits because they're going to get really up for it after the performance last week at home against the Jets, and it is, like I said, a must-win game
because they know what the schedule looks like.
the
And then,
schedule.
Revis on Brandon Marshall. He might switch off with Jeffries, but probably Brandon Marshall. And I think he rises to the occasion. He was late for practice, slap on the
I think it's a high-scoring game.
Well, I think so too.
Yeah.
I think so too. So anyway, BK, thanks for joining the huddle this week. Pete, we'll see you next week. Hopefully
Same
with
bad time.
Rich and Chris Delaney. Hopefully in the huddle next week.
Chris Delaney.
Marty, thanks for calling the shots. We'll see you next week with a new show. See ya.
Thanks for watching.
I saw a werewolf with a Chinese menu in his hand, walking through the streets of Soho in the rain. He was looking for the place called Lee Ho Fook's. Gonna get a big dish of beef chow mein.